Hey everyone, so I just finished Sober October, yes, and I did not drink for the entire month. And in this video, I will be talking about my experience taking time off from drinking. I will also be going through my before and after blood test results. So let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching, I'm Benny and I make videos based on my life experiences that focus on health, fitness, and technology. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and of course, don't forget to subscribe for future content. So today I will be talking about my Sober October experience where I took an entire month off from drinking to see how much of a difference I would notice both physically and mentally. So before doing this, I drank about 3 to 4 times a week and on average had about 5 to 6, sometimes 7 drinks a week, which already isn't that much, but nonetheless, I wanted to see how much of a difference I would notice if I stopped drinking for a period of time. I also wanted to get a full blood panel done before and after the month to see how much of a difference I would see in my actual blood work. To recap my experience, I would say physically, I didn't notice a huge difference, but I would say that I had slightly more energy throughout the day, and in the mornings, I didn't wake up quite as tired and groggy as I normally would if I had drank the night before. Mentally, again, I didn't notice a drastic difference, but I would say that I was just a little bit more relaxed and my emotional state was just a little bit more even and wouldn't fluctuate as much throughout the day and even the week. So even though I didn't notice a drastic difference both physically and mentally during Sober October, I would say there was still a noticeable difference, and I have to say I liked how I felt not drinking. As far as my craving for alcohol during this time off, I wasn't sure what to expect, but to be honest, there was really only a handful of times where a drink really sounded good, but outside of that, I have to say it was a lot easier than I was expecting. Even if someone like my wife was sitting next to me and enjoying a nice glass of red wine in the evenings, it really didn't affect me too much, which was good.
All right, now let's dive into the blood work results. Overall, there weren't any drastic differences, but I'm going to go through the different categories and highlight any noticeable differences. The tests that were done included a complete blood count, a comprehensive metabolic panel, A1C test, lipid panel, testosterone, thyroid stimulating hormone, vitamin B12, vitamin D, and lastly, a white blood cell differential. Just a disclaimer here that I'm not a doctor and I'm not going to pretend to know what half of these results mean, but I will cover the ones that do mean something to me. So the first test results I'll be going through are my complete blood count, and overall there wasn't any drastic differences between the before and after Sober October tests. So as you can see here, the values were really pretty close. The only one with a noticeable change was the platelet count, where it went up by 8 in the follow-up test. As you can see here, it started at 206 at the end of September, and then in my second test, it was 214. All right, now we're moving on to the comprehensive metabolic panel. And again, not too many notable differences here other than my ALT, which stands for alanine transminase and is an enzyme that primarily exists in your liver. So this test essentially checks the health of your liver, and the lower the value, the healthier your liver is functioning. The other change was in my creatinine, which is another test that measures kidney health. So you can see here my ALT had the biggest change, going from 23 in the first test to 33 in the follow-up test. Then down here you can see my creatinine went down from 1.34 in the first test to 1.22 in the follow-up test. And then my EGFR creatinine value, on the other hand, did the opposite and went up from 68 in the first test to 75 in the follow-up test. And I'm not sure the reasoning behind that. All right, now we're going to be looking at my A1C test results. And the A1C measures your blood sugar levels, and this one was probably the most concerning one to me, and I'm glad I had this checked. So you can see here that in the first test it was 5.8, and in the second test it went up to 6. As you can see, ideally you want to be below 5.6, and I was already above that in the first test, and then somehow I went up to 6 in the follow-up test. Between 5.7 to 6%, you're at a small risk for diabetes and considered in the pre-diabetes range. At 6.1 to 6.4%, you're at a higher risk for diabetes. So this one was definitely concerning. Even after the first results, I made a conscious effort to watch what I ate during October on top of not drinking, and somehow it still went up. I already made an appointment with a dietitian to discuss these results. I've been chatting with my doctor as well about my concerns, and he thinks it is more likely linked to genetics, which makes sense because my mom also struggles with a high A1C level. My doctor said I could try taking metformin, which is a drug that has been around a long time that can help regulate your blood sugar levels. I haven't decided if I want to try it out yet, but I am considering it. Let me know if any of you have struggled with high A1C levels and what you have done to help lower it, and whether any of you have tried metformin and what your experience has been with it. All right, so now we're going to be looking at my lipid panel test results. And that's essentially checking my cholesterol levels. And I'm sure most of you are pretty familiar with cholesterol, but essentially your HDL is considered your good cholesterol. So you want those values to be high. And your LDL is considered your bad cholesterol. So you want that to be lower. So kind of some interesting results here. As you can see, my overall cholesterol value went down from 178 to 153, but my HDL, so my good cholesterol, actually dropped from 45 to 37. And then my LDL, my bad cholesterol, dropped as well, though, going from 116 to 103. So mixed results, and I'm not really sure what to make of it. All right, now we're going to be looking at testosterone levels, and you can see that it did jump a bit from 302 for the initial test to 484 in the follow-up test. Now, I did have my testosterone tested at the beginning of 2023 through my primary care physician at the time, who is different than I have now, and for that test, the result was 522. I also did a test through Everlywell at the same time, which is an at-home testing company, and through them my testosterone came back at 591. I was drinking alcohol regularly when I took those tests back then at the beginning of the year, so again, kind of interesting results and not sure what to make of them. All right, now we're going to be moving on to my thyroid stimulating hormone test results. And your TSH is a hormone created by your pituitary gland and controls things like weight, body temperature, muscle strength, and even your mood. So you can see my value actually dropped, going from 2.771 at the beginning to 1.973 in the follow-up test. So that's kind of interesting as well, that not drinking actually lowered my TSH values. Of course, there's other factors that can contribute to what your TSH levels are at, but still interesting to see. Now we're looking at my B12 levels, and as you can see, it dropped here going from 318 to 250. Even after my first test, my doctor said my values were a little low and recommended I start supplementing with B12. So I actually got an oral spray that I started taking at the beginning of October, but as you can see, it did not make a difference. So after my follow-up test, my doctor recommended I try a different B12 supplement, so I just started taking a different one, so hopefully it actually works. Let's look at vitamin D now. You can see that it went up slightly, going from 71 to 76, so not a significant difference, but just a slight bump. All right, and last but not least, we are looking at my white blood cell differential test results. And again, nothing really stood out here. The values really didn't change too much across the board. The only thing that had a bit of a change were my lymphocyte values, where it dropped from 44.1 in the first test to 35.1 in the follow-up test. So again, not totally sure what to make of that, but that's where it ended up. All right, so that's my before and after blood test results. So as you can see, only a few areas that stood out and I'm actively addressing. I'll keep you guys posted on how I navigate my A1C levels. And again, if any of you have had issues with your A1C levels, please let me know how you addressed it.
I haven't fully decided how I want to approach drinking after having done Sober October, but I do have to say I like how I felt not drinking, so I think at the very least, I'm going to start with cutting back a little bit more and then just go from there. If any of you joined me for Sober October, congratulations, and if you've ever taken a break from drinking before, let me know what your experience was and also how you approach drinking going forward. I have also made an appointment with a dietitian in the next couple weeks to address my high A1C level, which is a little concerning, to see what might be causing it and also what I can do to lower it. One thing I would have changed is I would have kept a journal about how I felt during this time off from drinking, and I initially started it, but then I didn't keep up with it, so it was too late to go back and update it. If you guys found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and of course, don't forget to subscribe for future content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Late.